Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari. Yasoda Nandana Brata Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Brata Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari. Yasoda Nandana Brata Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Brata Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Brahmhang Subrabhakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shriman. His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol Slava Zamrani Bhaktam Slava Shri Guru Shri Grangi. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tenamane. Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Vacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharne. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Madhobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Iguram Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakhan Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishubhanu Sudha Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Triyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Questions by the Sages, text number 17. Tasya karmadya dharani parigitani suribi bruhina sharadananam lilaya datata kala tasya karmanya yudarani parigitani surivi bruhina shradananam lilaya dadata kala tasya karmani dharani parigitani surivi bruhina shradananam lilaya dadata kala tasya karma didharani parigitani surivi bruhina shradananam lilaya dadata kala tasya karma didharani parigitani suribi bruhina sharadananam lilaya dadata kala. Ladies. Tasya karma didharani parigitani suribi bruhina sharadananam lilaya dadata kala. Tasya his karmani transcendental acts udarani magnanimous parigitani broadcast suribi by the great souls ruhi please speak na unto us shradananam ready to receive with respect lilaya pastimes dadata advented kala incarnations. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. Please repeat. His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. Purport. The personality of Godhead is never inactive, as some less intelligent persons suggest. His works are magnificent and magnanimous. His creations, both material and spiritual, are all wonderful and contain all variegatedness. They are described nicely by such liberated souls as Srila Narada, Vyas, Valmiki, Devala, Asita, Madhva, Sri Chaitanya, Ramanuja, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, Sridhar, Vishwanath, Baladev, Bhaktivinoda, Siddhanta Saraswati, and many other learned and self-realized souls. These creations, both material and spiritual, are full of opulence, beauty, and knowledge. But the spiritual realm is more magnificent due to its being full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. The material creations are manifested for some time as perverted shadows of the spiritual kingdom and can be likened to cinemas. They attract people of less intelligence, caliber, who are attracted by false things. Such foolish men have no information of the reality, and they take it for granted that the false material manifestation is the all in all. But more intelligent men, guided by sages like Vyas and Narada, know that the eternal kingdom of God is more delightful, larger, and eternally full of bliss and knowledge. Those who are not conversant with the activities of the Lord and His transcendental realm are sometimes favored by the Lord and His adventures as incarnations, whereas He displays the eternal bliss of His association in the transcendental realm. By such activities, He attracts the conditioned souls of the material world. Some of these conditioned souls are engaged in the false enjoyment of material senses, and others in simply negating their real life in the spiritual world. These less intelligent persons are known as karmis, or fruitive workers, and jnanis, or dry mental speculators. But above these two classes of men is the transcendentalist known as the sattvata, or the devotee, who is busy neither with rampant material activity nor with material speculation. He is engaged in the positive service of the Lord, and therefore he deserves the highest spiritual benefit unknown to the karmis and jnanis. As the supreme controller of both the material and spiritual worlds, the Lord has different incarnations of unlimited categories. Incarnations like Brahma, Rudra, Manu, Prithu, and Vyas are his material qualitative incarnations. But his incarnations like Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, and Vamana are his transcendental incarnations. And Lord Sri Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations, and he is therefore the cause of all causes. The verse again, Tasya karma yudarani parigitani surivi bruhina shadadananam lilaya datata kala. His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. Namo Vishnu Vraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirbhishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Satarne. This verse is similar to a verse that the gopis sing. Tavakatamritam tapta jivanam kavibir iditam kala pasapanham Shrava Mangala Shimaratatam Puri Grinanti Ye Burida Jana, which means Tavakatamrita. Your kata, your talks about you are amrita. They bring to life, back to life, the soul. Tavakatamrita, tapta jivanam. Tapta means miseries in the material world. They take away the miseries of material life. Kavibir iditam. those who are learned, they're singing these glories, Kavibir Iditam, Srimad Atatam, Buri, Shrava Mangala, they're very auspicious to hear about. Shravana Mangala, Srimad Atatam, Buri Grinanti Ye Buri Da Tata. So those who are actually distributing this knowledge, who are talking Krishna Katha, they're the most magnificent people in the world. Just like in the Nectar of Instruction is said, Dadati pratigrinati guyamakiti prichiti bhunte bojayate chaiva shadvidam prati lakshanam, offering gifts in charity and accepting charitable gifts. So one who gives away in charity great amount of wealth, they're known as magnificent. When when King Prataparudra wanted to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya refused to see him because he was a king. And those who renounce the order of life are not supposed to associate intimately with materialists, of which a king is supposed to be a materialist. Therefore, in spite of many devotees requesting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give an interview to King Prataparudra, then Lord Chaitanya refused. He said, if you keep on insisting, then I'll simply leave. So the devotees stopped insisting. But then, I believe it was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, or maybe it was Gopinath Bhattacharya, suggested to King Prataparudra, Tapan Misra, suggested that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would like to see you, but the best thing to do is during the pastimes in the garden, during the Rath Yatra, that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taking rest, that you go there disguised as a Vaishnava and you recite the Gopi Gita to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. King Prataparudra went as a Vaishnava, dressed in Vaishnava dress, and recited the pastimes of Krishna during the Rasa dance. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, who are you? And he said, I'm the most insignificant servant of the servant of the servant. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you're the most magnificent. And he embraced King Prataparudra because he was the most magnificent in giving charity, and that charity was talking Krishna Katha. Tava Katamritam, Tapta Jivanam, Kavibir Iditam, Shrava Mangala, Srimadatatam, Puri Grinanti Ye Burida Jana. So this is what Krishna thinks is the most magnificent. In the spiritual world, people talk about Krishna. That's the spiritual world. And here, if we talk about Krishna in his various incarnations, we talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, then we'll be in the spiritual world also. Because this material world exists only as an imagination of the spiritual beings that are here, thinking that this world is something other than Krishna's energies. Of course, when we talk about Krishna Katha, that also means to talk about this world. Although it may not be as attractive as the spiritual world, but it's certainly more accessible to us than the spiritual world at the present moment. In other words, even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Rasoham apsnikunteya prabhasi shasi surya pranabhasarva vedeshu shabdake purusham nrishu. He doesn't start with the gopis' pastimes when he describes himself. He says, I am Rasoham apsnukunteya. I am the taste and water. I am the light and the sun and the moon. I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound and ether and ability in man. So how often do we go out and how often do we taste water and we think that this is Krishna? This is Krishna's energy. Do we do that every day when we're drinking water? Anyone ever fall on the ground in ecstasy after drinking water, thinking that this water is supplied by Krishna and he's so kind? Prabhasi Shasi. How many times we look at the sun and think, that's Krishna. That's his energy, providing heat and light to all the living entities. When the sun comes up in the morning, do we greet it thinking, oh, here's Krishna, as in Gayatri mantra. Rasoham Prabhasi Shasi Shuryo. Not on the sun, but there's also the light from the moon. During the daytime, Krishna gives us heat and light, and at night he cools us down. Prabhasi Shasi Surya. Pranava Sarvavedushu. And he's a syllable Om in all the Vedic mantras. How often do we recite Om and think this is Krishna? Or even the Vedic mantras. How often do we hear Srimad Bhagavatam and think that this is non-different from Krishna? This is Krishna. This is all Krishna's energy. Shabdake Purusham Rishu. Purusham Rishu. And he's the ability of man. When we see someone expert at something, what do we think? I wish I could be that expert. No, we think actually we should think that this is Krishna's expertise being manifested. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam Sarvabhutani Chakmani Ikshite Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshana. That the true yogi observes me in all beings and sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized soul sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. Or Sarvata Pani Padam Tat Sarvata Shri Shimo Mukam Sarvata Shrutima Loke Saram Avriti Tishtate. Everywhere his hands and legs, his eyes and faces, and he sees everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. So that even this body, which we think is ours, actually belongs to Krishna. And it's being moved under Krishna's energy. We're simply the observer and the desirer, but we're not the doer in this material world, directly doer. Therefore, when we see talent, ability, or even lack of it, we should understand this is all coming from Krishna. That's called Krishna consciousness. That if we can't see Krishna right before us, then how are we going to see Krishna in the spiritual world in the bushes with the gopis? That will not be possible. First, we have to see how Krishna is everywhere, always with us. It's not that we came to the material world and we lost Krishna. We left him behind. No, Krishna came with us. We can, as they say, he won't leave us no matter what we do. Even when we enter into the body of a cockroach, Krishna will enter with us. Of course, he doesn't become a cockroach. Nor does he have the experience of the cockroach. He's always transcendental. But he observes us, he observes our desires, and he reciprocates even when we're in the body of a cockroach. He's still directing our wanderings. So even our mother, if we say to our mother, Mother, I have to leave my body, I have to enter into the body of a cockroach, can you come with me and help me? Even our mom won't come with us, but Krishna comes with us. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam describes the glorious pastimes of Krishna, and this is all Tavakatamritam and Tapta Jivanam. This will actually take away our misery. The more we accept, we hear, as it says in the Nectar of Instruction, Tannama Charitadi Sukirtananu Smityo Kramena Rasanamana Niyoja Tishtan Vraje Tanaragi Jananugami Kalamnaya Akilam Itapadesha Saram. That the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, nicely hearing and chanting about the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes. In this way, gradually engage the tongue and the mind. One should live in Goloka Vrindavan. One should live in Goloka Vrindavan and serve Krishna under the guidance of the Lord's devotees. And one should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So we have to choose someone and follow their footprints. But who, at the beginning? Who should we see? Someone who's, as Prabhupada said, what's the qualifications of guru, either Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru, is that they're the most addicted to Krishna. And what do? It's Sadatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantas Chadarida Rataha Namasyantash Mam Bhaktya Nityukta Upasate. How to tell someone if they're addicted to Krishna, if they're under the Daivi Prakriti? They're always talking about Krishna. Sadatam Kirti, always glorifying Krishna. I mean, Kamsa was also thinking about Krishna, but in a different way. But the devotees favorably talk about Krishna, glorify him. Kirtayan yatantas chad dridavrataha. And they serve Krishna with determination in spite of any difficulties. Therefore, Prabhupada especially appreciated when he heard that even in very bad weather, in freezing cold weather and snow, the devotees were still going out to distribute transcendental literature. Prabhupada greatly appreciated that their activities are greater than the greatest yogis doing austerities for thousands of years. And namasyantas shamam bhakta, one who actually understands that whatever he can do is by the mercy of his spiritual master and the acharyas and disciple succession, and by their mercy he can be an instrument and derive all kinds of benefit from simply surrendering and being an instrument, humbly performing service to Krishna, without taking credit, without becoming interested in enjoying the results of the work, simply doing everything to please Krishna. Then Daivi Prakriti Ashitya, then one is actually under the great spiritual energy. One doesn't have to build big buildings or have a big position or do anything so-called glorious in this material world. One simply has to hear and chant about Krishna. And then Krishna is satisfied and one's life will become successful. But if one does not do that, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, just like one may eat grains every day, but if he can't digest them, then he'll grow weak. Similarly, if one doesn't hear and chant about Krishna every day, then one will actually grow weak in spiritual life and fall spiritually ill. So it's not an alternative, it's not something unusual that a few devotees are supposed to do, hear and chant about Krishna every day. For our spiritual health and nourishment, it's an absolute necessity. Otherwise, one will simply grow weak and fall victim to the illusory energy. Therefore, Prabhupada spent most of his time, or a good deal of his time, translating these books of literature, as Prabhupada used to say, not just to sell them, which we're not doing so much anymore anyhow. So it's almost like that Muslim who went, the Brahmin who was hungry, he went door to door, trying to get some food because he was hungry, and he came to a Muslim's place. So the Muslim offered to give him some food, so he ate at the Muslim's place, but the Muslim only gave him a little bit of food. So he said, I've lost my caste, because eating at a Muslim's place is considered to be, you lose your Brahminical class or caste. And I'm hungry too. I've lost my caste and I'm still hungry anyhow. So this distribution of transcendental literature is the greatest magnificent activities we can do, because what can we do? We tell someone about Krishna, how much effect does it have on anyone's life? If we stand on the street, tell them that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you're his eternal servant, you should surrender into him. How many people will ask, where do I sign up? No, we're lucky to sell the book to them. But if they buy the book, if somehow or another we get them to buy these books, and they read the book, then their life can be changed for the positive, spiritual. Probably you say just by touching the book they're benefited, because then they become a little familiar with it. It's not that they go back to Godhead just by touching the book. in a life, the Vaikuntha airplane comes and said, "We heard there was a rumor you touched a book." He said, "Yeah, here's a photo of it." "Okay, hop on." No, it's a chance to become familiar, and then maybe later on take it more seriously. Just like we've touched so many books, it doesn't mean we're automatically going back to, we're in Krishna consciousness fully. Therefore, the conclusion is we should try to hear and chant about Krishna as much as possible. For that reason, we have a morning program in the temple. That's the advantage of living in a temple, is that there's devotees, and they're hearing and chanting about Krishna in the morning and in the evening, and during the day they're engaged in some kind of service. Therefore, it's a great opportunity to go back to the spiritual world, to become Krishna conscious in this lifetime. On the other hand, even if we're living in our house, there's no impediment. So far, there's no, like in 1984, there was some kind of screen and they were watching everyone. Big Brother is watching you. Well, maybe big God Brother is watching you. A big God Sister is watching you. But right now we have no one watching us telling us, how dare you, don't chant Hare Krishna. Don't pick up those beads, you'll be arrested. Don't talk about Krishna. We have it recorded. You'll be on trial for talking about Krishna. So we're not faced with that dilemma so far. So we should take advantage wherever we are, hearing and chanting about Krishna. And therefore we'll make progress towards our ultimate goal of life. It's not that if someone else is hearing about, chanting about Krishna, then that's going to be an impediment for my going back to the spiritual world. No, it's only a help. Everyone has their unique relation with Krishna eternally, and anyone who's engaged in devotional service is gradually progressing towards the ultimate goal of life. And our only business is to assist others in helping them come to that goal of life, like the gopis. The gopis didn't walk around saying, we're gopis, everyone surrender to me, us, we're perfected beings, we know everything. No, they said, Tavakatam ritam tapta jivanam, kavibir iditam, kala shapaham. Shravana mangalam shimanatatam buri gurinanti ye burida jana. No, they glorify those who are hearing and chanting about Krishna. Those who are chanting about Krishna, they glorify them, that they're the most magnificent. So everyone can become the most magnificent if we just distribute Krishna consciousness to others in some way or another. Yari deka tari kaha Krishna upadesh amara agai gurahana tari desh. Whoever we meet, we only have one business, somehow or another, to inspire them to hear about Krishna, to take up the process of devotional service for those who are more advanced. But that's our only business. So whoever we meet, we should just think, what can I tell them? What can I do to help them make advancement towards a relation with Krishna? And if we do that, then we become very dear to Krishna. Ya idam paramanguyam mad bhakteshva vidashiti bhakti mayi param kritva mame vaishyati samshayaha. That in this world, one who distributes his message to my devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he'll come back to me. Tasman manusheshu kasyame pritakrita maha bhavita chatame tasmat anyak priyataro bhuvi. In this world there's no one more dear to me than he, nor will there anyone be more dear. So we want to become dear to Krishna, just tell others about Krishna. Then they'll be benefited, we'll be benefited, and Krishna will be pleased, and we'll reach the goal of life, perfection in Krishna consciousness, just by doing that. So I'll stop there. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna, I have two questions. The first one is, what does it mean to do negative service to the Lord?
Unfavorable. You mean unfavorable?
I don't know, it says here in the purport that devotees do positive service towards the Lord, so I'm wondering what is negative service.
Well, unfavorable. Like Kamsa was also doing service. He made it into the Bhagavatam. I don't think we'll make it into the Bhagavatam. But his service he was thinking about Krishna all the time, but he was thinking negatively about Krishna, how Krishna was going to come and kill him.
But he's just thinking about Krishna service?
How to kill Krishna. Krishna's service? He wasn't thinking about serving
if just thinking about Krishna is considered service.
Yes.
So if he thought negatively about Krishna, then he did basically negative service.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfavorable. And the second question?
Second question is about this last part that you spoke about, that we should tell everyone about Krishna so that we spread Krishna consciousness. And I have wondered, if we tell someone about Krishna, in such a way that instead of having the result them approaching Krishna or being close to Krishna, we somehow trigger a reaction that's negative, that they want to distance themselves more from Krishna. Do we get benefit because we tried, or do we get a negative reaction because we were not qualified enough to tell them properly?
Good example of negative service.
This one. So that means we don't get benefit.
Well, it's an offense against the holy name to preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless. So, benefit will probably agitate their minds and our minds too. So what's the benefit? There may be some benefit, I don't know. It depends on, for instance, Rupa Goswami was sitting in meditation, remembering the pastimes of Krishna with the cowherd boys, and he started to laugh. And then one elderly Vaishnava who was crippled and deformed was walking by, and he thought, why is Rupa Goswami laughing at me? Just because I'm crippled and deformed. So he became insulted. So later on, at that time, Rupa Goswami's meditation on the transcendental pastimes of Krishna and the cowherd boys broke, and he didn't know why. So he asked Sanatana Goswami, he told him what his problem was, that now he couldn't meditate on Krishna and his pastimes. So he said, maybe you offended a Vaishnava. So Rupa Goswami couldn't figure out who he offended. So Sanatana Goswami suggested that he call for a big festival and invite all the Vaishnavas. And whoever didn't come was probably the one who was offended. So he called for Rupa Goswami set up a big festival for the Vaishnavas, and the elderly, crippled Vaishnava didn't come. So he said, that's the one I offended. So he went to him and offered obeisances and asked for forgiveness for any offenses he might have done. So the elder Vaishnava said, well, I was just very surprised that I was walking by your bhajan kutir and all of a sudden you started to laugh at me. Rupa Goswami said, I wasn't laughing at you, I was laughing at Krishna and his pastimes with the cowherd boys. And therefore the misunderstanding was cleared up and the offense was excused, so-called offense. So if we agitate people's minds, it's offensive. It'll be an impediment to our advancement in spiritual life.
So even though we try our best, if we are not qualified, it is better not to do it because we might commit an offense.
Do what?
Speak to people.
About Krishna?
Yes.
I know, we should probably, therefore Krishna, he says in Bhagavad Gita, you shouldn't speak to the unfaithful. You know that verse?
Yeah, but if we are not qualified, we do not know that who's unfaithful and who's,
Do you know
inclined.
that verse? You shouldn't speak to the unfaithful?
No.
Okay. Prakritir guna samuda sajante guna karmasu tana Krishna vido mandan Krishna vinna vichalyat. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advised us not to disturb them, simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. Does that answer your question?
No, this confuses me more.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll read some more verses and you'll get more confused. Why does it confuse you?
Because here it says that devotees of the Lord are even more kind and they take this risk of talking to unfaithful. And then we have the ninth offense.
Ninth offense, yeah.
Where it says that, also given by Prabhupada, who says that devotees should not commit those offenses, and one of them is...
To preach the glories of the Lord to the unfaithful.
Yes, so now which one is it?
Well, we should have enough intelligence to know what to preach to people. Now, if we don't have enough intelligence, and we take the risk, and we offend people, then we'll learn by experience. Krishna will forgive us. Pichat sudaracharo bhajante mamananyabhak sudar eva samantavyak samyavirasitihi saha. Even if you consider the most sinful of all sinners, if you're engaged in devotional service, you're considered saintly. Quickly he becomes Shipram Bhavati Dharma Ma Shazvik Shanti Nagachiti Kontiya Napijanati Name Bhakti Pranashiti. Quickly he becomes righteous and attains everlasting peace. O Sanakunti, declare boldly that my devotee never perishes. So if one takes the risk of preaching, like Lord Nityananda, he took the risk of preaching to Jagai and Madai and he got a pot in his head. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appreciated it. He came and protected Lord Nityananda. So if we try, and even if we make some mistakes, Krishna will forgive us. And we'll learn by our experience and become an expert preacher after some time. So we should take the risk. Although there may be some reaction sometimes, but Krishna will purify us and help us progress so that we become a better instrument for him. He appreciates the attempt, even if it's not expert, even if it causes some problem. Krishna will help us, because that's his mission. And he even himself gets attacked under certain circumstances. So what to speak of ourselves? Otherwise, we can live a nice, comfortable life and die peacefully in bed, and who knows where we're going to go. Is that right?
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Khwala Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.